call the Johnson County Board of Zoning Appeals October 28, 2025 meeting to order. We'll start with a roll call. I am Chris Campbell. Mr. Canary here. Mr. Hoffman here. Mr. Taylor here. And Mr. Meyer is currently not here, and Mr. Gray is not here. We have a amendment to the agenda to add the approval of the 2026 BZA calendar of meetings. Add this to the new business. I need if anybody has any concerns with that, they can express them, or I need a motion to go ahead and add this amendment.
I move that we add.
It's been moved to add the approval of the 2026 BZA calendar meetings to the new business. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We'll add that later to the new business. All board members were mailed a.
Chris, hold on, forward here, just for the record.
Mr. Myers.
Mr. Myers is here.
All board members were mailed a copy of the September 23rd, 2025 meeting minutes. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes?
Chairman, I move to approve the minutes as they were mailed.
It's been moved to approve the September 23rd meeting minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting minutes are approved. Okay, we have no continued petitions. We have one new petition, SP-1-25 and V-12-25. Apparently there's two concerns here.
It's a development standards along with a special exception.
Okay, with that, I'll turn it over to staff.
Okay. SB-1-25 with companion of V-12-25. The location is on a agriculture field that's at approximately 5530 West 55 South Trafalgar. The owners are the Bradley Family Farms. The applicant is Vertical Bridge, represented by Judge Shelley. They are requesting a special exception to provide for a 290-foot tall wireless communication facility. Along with that communication facility, they're also seeking development standard variances that will allow the communication tower to exceed the height limitations of 60 feet, to allow the accessory equipment area to exceed the square footage of 350 to 1,000, and to develop a communication facility without landscaping and without camouflaging features. The property is located in Hensley Township, just southwest of the city of Trafalgar. It is on a 45 acre agriculture field at the corner of State Road 135 and 550 South. Here is a bird's eye aerial, or kind of looking northern of the property. As stated, they are seeking a special exception to allow for a 290 foot tall wireless communication facility, along with the development standards. Here is the proposal of what the tower will look like. It's a standard 3-leg tower. This will show you the current location of the tower. It will be accessed off of 550 South. It will be the infrastructure and all that will be at least 290 feet from the property line within the agricultural field. It will have a gravel driveway to access it. This is, including with your staff report, this is the site plan that shows the tower along with the accessory equipment to service that tower. As supplied by the applicant, this is a radius that shows the tower and how far it is from all the adjoining property owners. Residential structures, they're all exceed the 1,000-foot separation requirement that's within our standards. What is a special exception? As the Board of Zoning Appeals, we do these very solemn. We do use variances, which special exceptions are different. So a special exception is a land use that possesses characteristics or qualities that may require individual review and restrictions. It has been determined by those who created the ordinance and adopted the ordinance that the use could be considered in that zoning district, but with special consideration that needed to be individually reviewed. Those, if controlled, usually was to control the number, the area, the location, the relationship to the neighborhood, and what the use or special exception would be promote public health, safety, and general welfare. As we kind of go through this, I mean, the cell tower has significant standards, as the applicant had provided a significant write-up that went through each of those standards and how they either satisfy that requirement or understood that requirement. As far as, special exception, what are we looking at? We're looking at the number, the area, the location, the relationship to the neighborhood, would it promote public health, safety, and general welfare? The location, according to our GIS data layer, we have located, I have turned on the cell towers on our mapping, which are indicated by those red dots. And the closest red dots are about 2.5 miles to the west and 3 miles to the east. As you can see, there are some closer to, the Whiteland area, and therefore as the applicant has demonstrated, it satisfies the 1,000 foot requirement from any residential structure. As you can see kind of in your packet that was provided, most of them are the minimum 1,000 or if not more than 1,000. I believe the applicant should go on and explain why it's needed. As our special exception for our cell tower, the ordinance clearly states that, they are to demonstrate the benefit of the cell tower to the community, how it promotes the communication that we all use as our main communication throughout the day. And then, so they will have additional information on, the location, the area, and what they have supported, which you have been provided as to the reason why they picked this particular area. As far as the relationship to the neighborhood, we're all familiar with cell towers. Every cell tower that I can picture in my mind is out in the agricultural area. They are not within the urbanized areas of development of a neighborhood or a shopping center or those sorts. This is on a 45-acre tract of land that is an agriculture field that would remain an agriculture field. So unfortunately, there is no place in our county that does not have neighbors within, 1,000 feet or more. So I believe the cell tower is appropriate because this is the standard environment of a cell tower in the agricultural area where it's not necessarily impeding on the residential condensed urbanized infrastructure. Again, I mean, anybody can argue the public health and safety welfare for either argument, but we all utilize our cell phones. This is currently being broadcast by Zoom that people can view from their Wi-Fi at their home or on their phone. So cell towers has become part of our infrastructure more than it is, and not an elective infrastructure. It is a necessary infrastructure. I will leave more of that to the applicant to go ahead and explain. To go through our special exceptions, findings of facts that are in the staff report. The first criteria that a special exception needs to demonstrate is that the use is specified and identified as a special exception in the ordinance of the zoning district. It is classified as special exception in an agricultural zoning district. So it meets that requirement. The special exception can be served with adequate utilities, access road, drainage, and other necessary facilities. This structure will be reviewed and approved and inspected as a building permit. They will get the required driveway permit from the highway department. So it has access and utilities along what they needed as far as the utilities. The special exception shall not involve any element or cause any condition that may be dangerous, injurious, and obnoxious to any other property owners, shall comply with any all design and development standards for the use. The communication facility would exceed this requirement as a setback. They have proposed it to be 290 feet from all property lines. So if it was to be catastrophic and something happens to it, it would fall on the property with it, which is contained. It does meet all the FCC regulations as it is being reviewed and permitted by the FCC as well. Special exceptions shall cite an oriented landscape in harmonious relationship with the buildings and grounds adjacent buildings. Again, this is the agriculture field. Within 45 acres, it's 1,000 feet from any structure whatsoever. A cell tower cannot be replicated as a house. So I believe this cell tower is the best it can be with harmonious with the area because of agricultural fields. The special exception shall produce a total visual impression environment which is consistent with the environment of the neighborhood. Same situation, it is an agriculture field. Cell towers are in essence part of our built environment. The special exception shall be organized vehicle access and parking to minimize traffic congestion. So this is usually more for our, pedestrian or, oriented businesses and stuff like this. Obviously, a cell tower does not cause any traffic or congestion whatsoever. And the special exception shall preserve the purpose of the ordinance and not interfere with the substantial with comprehensive plan. This property is zoned for agriculture, or comp plan is agricultural. The land around it will remain agricultural. It will remain on the parcel, it will remain farmed. They are in essence just utilizing a 100 by 100 square of property within the agriculture field. So again, this request was a special exception. However, there we have some development standards that were within our cell tower standards that the tower cannot satisfy. Just as a precursor to what's in my staff report, these ordinances were written probably back in the 2010, 2005 era. There was a lot of more remonstration against cell towers, and the ordinance has not yet been updated. Our ordinance requires a 60-foot limitation on cell towers. I honestly, without being there when we adopted it in 2011, I have no clue why 60 foot was the cap. Maybe it was just more to, we know that every cell tower is going to be taller, so we need to make sure we look at it in each case by case scenario. And in this situation, I think it was more of the fall zone, which is 290 feet, which they have shown that tower going to be within the property that is contained. The accessories equipment area cannot be more than 300 square feet. The applicant originally did not indicate they have this variance, but after I reviewed their plan, you can see that their current equipment for their current cell tower, and that means because we have a lot of co-locations, we have towers that once was built for T-Mobile that Verizon will want to add on to it. And we allow those as long as the base and the height has never changed. So this right now is being built for one user, but it is going to be built for, future co-locations. So as you can see, there's 3 squares in the area where they say indicate a future tenant space. So in order, if this was approved today, and then 5 years down the road, another cell tower wants to add there and they want to add their generator and their electrical equipment, they would have to come back for a variance to increase that square footage. So I took all the areas that would be suitable for equipment and added it all together. So in essence, we don't necessarily need to come in every time there's one generator added or a hub spot for, or the building that they need for their cell tower at the bottom, the base of the sign, no, the cell tower, sorry. The third variance was without landscaping. The ordinance requires the site to be built with a landscape buffer. The proposed tower is located within an agriculture field. If we put trees and shrubs along it with it, again, reminder, it is 300 feet within that field. There are crops half of the year on that property. So first of all, for right now, if it's corn, you wouldn't even see the trees and the shrubs. But during the winter and fall months, we would see our typical fall vegetation. However, crop maintenance, spraying and all that, it's gonna make it hard for these trees to even sustain life. With the chemicals they spray and the maintenance and all that, it would just be more of a hindrance than just having a standard opaque fence around the equipment. And then the fourth variance was camouflaging features. The ordinance requires the site to be built, that did not get changed over. But back in the days when we tried to camouflage cell towers, if you Google camouflage cell towers, this is what you come up with. A palm tree, a cactus, a pine tree 200 feet in the air. I am aware of one that I drive by probably once a month that's near my house, and during the fall you can see it because it is a metal pine tree that sticks way up in the air and it doesn't really blend with the environment. One could argue now a standard cell tower is camouflaging since we see them in such of our normal day occurrence that we probably don't recognize the cell tower wherever they're at because we just don't pay attention to them. So I think making a cell tower with these camouflaging features would actually draw more attention to the cell tower than it is just to be built as a standard would, and then it would be blended more with the environment as we are standardly know what a cell tower looks like, and it would just be part of a horizon that we normally have seen. I don't know if the pine trees, as you guys can see on some of these things, would actually camouflage it. So the request is for a special exception with a variance of development standards. As staff has shown, and the applicant has shown, we believe this special exception has met the state statute on the findings of facts. We would support the variance development standards as long as they, install an opaque fence in lieu of landscaping and camouflaging features. Any questions?
Any questions for staff?
I have one, please.
Go ahead.
How's that fall into the 20-year plan? On the 20-year plan, is it still going to be agriculture?
You would have to ask the property owners what they want to do with their land with 20 years.
I just didn't know
Yeah.
what the county plan was.
That's agricultural. That's what the comp plan has. This plan is agriculture for that area.
Any further questions?
I have one, Michelle, on that circle you got. And it,
Should be part of your stuff that you.
yeah. So any of that's in some open farm ground, I know, to the south. Up
It's-
along there, and, okay, so since that's put there, then can anyone build within that if they own that property? Or is it
Yeah, but
just-
they won't be, I mean, if they're the ones there first and somebody decides to build on a parcel closer to the cell tower, that's their elective
Okay.
and that
So
they're
it
not
doesn't-
at
it
fault.
doesn't deny them.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's one of those first come, first serve situations.
Anybody else? Okay. As we move on to the comment and the petitioner's presentation, the petitioner and anyone he or she has brought to support them have 15 minutes to speak and answer questions. And then anybody who has come here to remonstrate, cumulatively, all of them have 20 minutes together to voice their concerns. Then the petitioner has 5 minutes for rebuttal into those concerns or to answer further questions. Anyone who wishes to speak for or against this petition needs to stand and take the oath of a witness.
Right now. Your only opportunity. Raise your right hands. Swear or affirm on penalty of perjury, testimony about to give is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Okay.
So now we turn the podium over to petitioner. When someone comes up to speak, regardless of who it is, they are to state their name and their address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Judd Shaley. I'm here representing Bradley Family Farms as the applicant. And through that, with the lease that they signed with Vertical Bridge, they have given us the right to petition for this special use on their behalf. I'm here also, like I said, to represent Vertical Bridge and also Verizon. This project is a build-to-suit project where Verizon and their engineers have decided that they needed additional coverage to further develop their network in this area. And when that happens, companies like Verizon or AT&T or T-Mobile, any cell company, they have basically three choices. They can either co-locate on an existing tower, which there was demonstrated there are none in the area that we wanted to get additional coverage on. Second option would be to build your own tower. So Verizon would come directly, hire someone like me and represent them directly to build their own tower so they can further their network that way. Or the third choice is they can farm out the contract to a company like Vertical Bridge. Vertical Bridge is a infrastructure company, whereas they develop towers on contract as a build-to-suit project. So Verizon has told Vertical Bridge, we need a tower that's 290 feet. It needs to be in this general area. And if you're willing to do that, then we will sign a letter of intent that once it's developed, we will come in and co-locate our antennas on your tower and utilize it the same as if we had built our own tower. Cell companies do this for a number of reasons. Most of them are financial. They just cut down on capital expenditure by having someone else develop the tower for them. It's easier for Verizon to pay a monthly rent to be on the tower than to outlay a huge amount of money it takes to develop the tower itself. With that being said, I think Michelle laid out everything quite well as far as what Vertical Bridge's intent is, and also what our feeling is that we've met the ordinance and to all the standards that apply. The variances that we're required, as she said, 60 feet. That's not going to give any coverage for anything. You wouldn't even be able to cover a quarter mile if you had a tower that was that low. So that's I feel that that's probably a pretty good assumption that she put forward as far as why that 60 foot was put in the ordinance to begin with. And it's just to cause a situation where your board would have to individually review every applicant like myself. It was not taken lightly where we're putting the tower. We do an extensive amount of research as to where we can place this tower so that it, one, meets the standards of the ordinance, and two, we do our utmost to try and provide the coverage that the client wants. That's Verizon. But in the same light, we want to also always try to be considerate of where we're trying to put this tower. And one of the standards in the ordinance that was fairly difficult to to meet was that 1,000-foot setback from any residential prop or structure. There was a very small bit of that triangle field that was actually able to be used. And how we derived at the part of the field that could be used is we plotted on a map and every single house we identified around the area. And we put a 1,000-foot radius circle around each one of those. And the little bit of the field that was left is the only part that we could obviously use. And so when we proposed to locate the tower in that little section of the field, and you strike the 1,000-foot circle around the tower, you shouldn't hit any residential structure in doing so. And that was represented and shown on the screen now. As far as all the rest of the direct requirements of the ordinance, I can go over each one of them on record, or I can just take specific questions on any one of them. Be happy to do it either way, whichever pleases the board. Anyone?
I think you guys have questions for the petitioner?
No, sir.
No. Well, if you've got anything else you'd like to present to us, we'll listen to it. You have how much time?
Plenty of time.
Plenty of time.
The only other thing that I had, and I alluded to the, oh, mic's working. I alluded to the coverage objective that basically drives every new build construction of cell towers. When the engineers at a cell company decide that they need to have additional coverage, or if there's a problem site within their network, that can be a place where people congregate often, where a group of people all wanting to use their cell phones at the same time would make the network crash. We can, you can basically see on this map here the highway corridor that goes down through here. And the red area indicates very low or non-performing coverage in Verizon's eyes. And that's for, this is a model for their network. The yellow is average coverage. The green area indicates very good coverage to exceptional coverage. So the two towers that still identified cover this area and that area up there, obviously. The goal of this entire thing is to remove red and get as close as we can to green, or at least yellow, as much as we can. So this depiction right here shows proposed or anticipated coverage should the tower be developed the way we're proposing to develop it. So what you can see by this is that all these three towers now are going to work in conjunction with each other. So this right here is going to bolster the coverage of this one and that one, and then also establish its own pocket of coverage as well. With a tower that's in the 250 to 300 foot range, you can generally anticipate very good coverage for a radius of about 3 miles in any direction. So that broadens that coverage all the way through there with the presence of this tower. So should Vertical Bridge and Verizon be able to develop this as proposed, that is what the anticipated coverage would be, and that will help Verizon further their network and add to their network in this specific location. Verizon is constantly doing this all over the nation, as are the other cell companies. So they pick these problem spots and they address them one by one. And obviously the goal would be 100% coverage everywhere, probably never gonna happen, but they try to do the best they can as budget and time allow. So be happy to answer any other questions about the coverage objective and why we ended up where we did propose to put it. And of course, take any other questions that you guys would have.
Any questions for Mr. Shaley?
I guess I,
Right.
okay, so. But Verizon Wireless, but like AT&T and some of the others. Do they have more towers in that area or what do they? Is there other towers in that area besides the three you pointed out? Or the two you pointed out and the one?
Those are the closest ones. I mean, obviously, there's more towers in the county.
There,
But whether a company uses every tower that's available or not, that has to do with their individual objectives and how they develop their coverage network that they have. So I can't speak to how T-Mobile would approach this situation or how AT&T would, but Verizon is co-located on those two other towers. And by putting another set of antennas on the tower we're proposing to build is going to allow all those to work in conjunction. And instead of having two pockets, it's going to become this huge seamless area instead.
okay.
So Kayla, the map up on the projector right now is something I produced with our GIS data layer that says towers. So these are just towers in general. I don't have specific details of who's on that tower or anything like that, but these are the towers that have been mapped on our GIS department as where they are. And those are those red circles.
Okay.
Are those the ones that are just east of the school as 135 cuts to the north, which is about a mile and a half from this new proposed tower?
This is the town of Trafalgar right here. So I mean, they're 3 nodes. Again, I don't know the details of what those towers are, but these are all towers that our GIS has noted because they all have to have, we have to all have that information. We also have to have their address information and stuff.
All towers that are over 70 feet in height have to be registered with the FCC. And so that would not necessarily indicate that it's a cell tower. It could be a tower that is a repeater for the sheriff's department or two-way radio for the bus fleet for the school. It could be a tower for any purpose, mom and pop, internet company, anything.
Any further questions?
Yeah, I have one, please.
Go ahead.
Do you have any antennas on any of those other 3 towers?
Can we go back, Michelle, can you go back to the coverage map?
This is the.
Yeah, okay, so there's a tower that's down here, that's not one that Michelle identified, she identified was up here. Obviously Verizon's not on that one, because if they were on that one, it'd be a big splash. But Verizon's on a tower down here, and on a tower over here, just north of Trafalgar. So there is just simply too much distance between these two to have adequate coverage as they would project their signal towards each other. If these two areas were, say, half a mile closer each, this red would be pushed back here and there would be more of a coverage. It may not be as good as if there was another tower here, but there would be less red. But because of the distance between them, that's why Verizon is proposing to build another one, because they just don't have the coverage that they want They want to be able to tell all their customers that they have adequate to above adequate coverage in all areas. So,
But if you're building a new tower at
Yes.
290 feet, and you're building a pad big enough to not only hold your equipment, but equipment for 2 other antennas,
yes, sir.
why wouldn't they just pop onto one of the towers that are already up?
Well, in this case, there aren't any towers that are closer than the ones that
Well, you
Verizon.
said there's one up at the top,
Well.
further
oh,
up.
Right here, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, the main objective when Verizon's engineers or any engineer at any cell company for that matter, when they look critically at an area to decide where they're going to put, their antennas, the goal, each tower creates this area around it that is going to be exceptional coverage. And then as you get farther away from it, it wanes. So the goal is to get the area where it is exceptional coverage and where they just touch. So if Verizon did one here, they would have a lot of overlapping coverage. And so that is, in a sense, not smart money to develop 2 towers that are closer than what they need to be to each other. And it's still going to leave this area right over in here with that red. So
So you don't know if Verizon has got antennas on any of the other 3 towers that are intrafabric?
no, they don't. They don't have antennas on the ones that are just south of the town right here. I know they don't, because if they did, there would be, this green right here would go all the way around there. So, and a lot of times when a tower comes up on a database, like I said, it can be a tower that is for the purpose of, a repeater radio or something. Those towers are generally pretty thin. They're not towers that are designed to hold much weight at all. And so if Verizon were to come in and propose to put their antenna load on a tower like that, it would just structurally fold it. So they have to develop towers or find towers that are not only in the place that they need them, but also that are structurally capable of holding the weight of their antennas and all their equipment. So the entire antenna load that Verizon uses generally is probably somewhere in the 600 to 800 pound range. It's a lot of weight and may not seem like a lot of weight for a tower, but you have to then factor in the wind and all that stuff. Potential ice load that's hanging on the tower, all that adds to the structural capability of the tower.
Thank you.
I got another question.
Go ahead.
Just being curious. The old Channel 4 tower, I don't know what you call it now, in Trafalgar, which is way up there. Why don't Verizon, AT&T use that big tower? It would go over a lot of different area. I would think it would shoot out way far because it's so high in the air.
In general, if I understand what you're asking here, when different towers are developed in a certain area, wherever it may be, like I said, the goal is to have a seamless network where all the pieces fit together. And not only is the placement of the tower critical there, but also the height. So if you have one set of antennas that are, say, at 200 feet off the deck, you have another set that's 290, and then you put a third one up here that's at 600. This one right here is not going to aid these other 2
600 from way
near
outside that
as
straight.
much as what you would think it would because of it being that far in the air. So now if all of the antennas were up there at 600 feet, then of course it would be golden.
Yeah.
But and also if it's an old tower, Those old towers were not built with the structural capability that the modern towers are.
Nope.
And, so it may not be able to be used even if they wanted to.
Okay.
Anybody else?
I have one question. So this map here is Verizon's coverage area.
Yes, sir.
Does it mean that there's not another competitor that has coverage in that area? Is that correct? If there's another competitor with a cell tower, it won't show up on this map. Is that?
No, it would not.
So this
This
so
this
there
is
could
the-
be more coverage there. It's just another company.
This is the depiction of Verizon's coverage. What it is now and what it needs to be or what they would like it to be. Should we be able to develop this tower as proposed? So, yeah, Verizon has their own network design, as does AT&T, T-Mobile, every single one of them. And they may not be the same, they may be identical.
And just because AT&T or whoever has another tower there, doesn't mean they have to let you own it.
Yes, they do.
But they do.
Part of the caveat of getting an FCC license for a tower, which every tower has to have. No matter where that tower is being built, whether it be, where we're proposing to do or in the middle of a desert somewhere, every single tower that's constructed in the United States has to apply for and get clearance from the FAA and the FCC. Absolutely positively. And part of the caveat to the FCC granting a license for any tower anywhere is you cannot deny someone else the ability to put their antennas on that tower as well. Because if they didn't do that, you could very easily create a situation that's monopolistic, where Verizon comes in and they're able to develop 4 towers in, say, a large part of a county. And then they stand there and go like this to all their competitors. And then you've got an area that only Verizon has coverage in, and that can't happen.
I misunderstood that. Yeah.
Satisfied? I have one question. And it's actually kind of, Michelle may remember this time, when I first came on this board, I don't remember how long I've been on it. We were arguing about the small cell installations in neighborhoods. They're going to be on telephone pole size things. Much more frequently, but much more less intrusive. They told us that this was going to take the place of the large scale towers. What happened to that?
Small cell is generally utilized more in cities for a number of reasons. One, they're generally used in neighborhoods where there simply is not any available real estate to put a tower. My wife and I's company, we're direct vendors for Verizon. We did a very large small cell project in Michigan for Verizon. We developed over 600 nodes in the city of Grand Rapids. And there were large areas of that were in neighborhoods that were 3/4 of a mile across. And they were nothing but just street after street after street and no open land whatsoever. And when you get that many people, that many users in a tight area, the network just takes a dive. They just can't possibly cover all those people that are wanting to use their phone all at the same time. So that's why small cell that's the major reason why small cell was proposed in certain areas, is because it allows them to get into the interior of those areas without the use of extra real estate because it's all done in the public right of way.
Any other questions for Mr. Shaver? Thank you. Okay, the remonstrators have 20 minutes cumulative. If one person speaks for 19 minutes, that means that other people only have one. So use your time wisely. But to anyone who wishes to speak against this, please come up to the podium, state your name and your concerns.
Good evening. My name is Drew Eggers, 5540 West 135. I live directly north. My driveway is directly north of where this tower location is proposed. In your ordinance under section 6101-2, under special exceptions G, you have 7 criteria that the applicant must satisfy in order for this special exception to be granted. I have issue and do not agree with 4 of those special exceptions, or with 4 of those criteria. Number 3, dangerous, injurious, or noxious to any other property or persons. I absolutely think this is going to be noxious. This is going to be right outside my bedroom window, and I'm not going to be able to look anywhere. This is my driveway right here, and this is my house right here. I'm the closest in proximity to this tower at 1,013 feet. In its proposed locations right here. So I'm going to see it every day. Every day when I open my window is going to be staring at me in the face. So I absolutely think that's noxious. Further, in the Journal of Real Estate Finance and Economics in the May issue of 2018, there have been numerous studies that have shown that property values within the eyesight range of towers have decreased by up to over 9% in property value of a decline. So I think that's injurious to the neighborhood as well. Number 4, these sites, you're supposed to be sited oriented landscape to produce harmonious relationship to the adjacent building and properties. I don't believe that's going to be the case. This is going to be an obscene looking metal structure that's 300 feet in the air. That's 5 times what your current ordinance allows for. It's in the findings of fact, the applicant said that that would be harmonious to the area and it would be blending in with the natural gray. I don't find that to be the case at all. That's the gray metal that's standard. They just don't want to paint it. Number 5, produce total visual impression and environment consistent with the neighborhood. Nope, it's agricultural, it's wooded. This is industrial looking metal tower. It is not harmonious with the relationship of the area. Number 7, it would preserve the purpose of the ordinance and not interfere substantially with the comprehensive plan. This is agricultural area. This is why we moved out there. This is a rural area and we want to keep it that way. So I think there's 4 of your 7 criteria that they're not meeting and the applicant has not met their burden. I'm going to leave the rest of my time for anybody else who wants to speak. Thank you.
Good evening, board. My name's Matt Fox. I live at 5614 West State Road 135, which is this residence right here. The tower is going to be right out my front door. The question I ask you guys is, does anybody on this board have Verizon cell service? Is that their carrier? You? Mm-hmm. I urge you to go down to Hensley Township, anywhere in that area, drive that area, and see if you have poor cell coverage. Because I have, and there's not one. So, my second point is, has anybody seen the T-Mobile commercial that says they're starting to use Starlink? That's a satellite cell service. The next question I ask you guys is, do you know why Verizon and T-Mobile have sold off 85% of their towers to Vertical Bridge, Crown Castle, and American Tower? Does that not raise a question to you guys? The reason why? Within the next 5 to 7 years, the cell service will be satellite service. The towers are no longer going to be needed. The third point I want to make is from my front porch, I can see 5 cell towers, 5 communication towers from my front porch. Their representative, the petitioner's representative and the Bradley family's representative said they don't have any satellite towers on the 3 that are in Trafalgar, the one that's north of Morgantown, which is an AM radio tower. There's another one south of Morgantown that's not on this map, but we need to use existing stuff. If we're not using existing stuff and it's within close proximity, which Michelle hinted to the fact that it's 2.5 miles away. So if they're not utilizing that, what's going to happen in the 5 to 7 years that all cell phone carriers are going to go to satellite? Do you think Vertical Bridge is going to come down to my property and say, hey, we're going to take this tower down because it's an eyesight or it's an eyesore? No, they're not. They're not going to take it down. It's going to be left there. It's going to be an eyesore, and then it's going to be forgotten. But we're still going to have to live with it as residents of that area. It's good enough. The towers in Trafalgar, the 3 towers that are in Trafalgar, are good enough for ICI. He's a local guy. He's here in Franklin. It's good enough to him to put his internet stuff on, but Verizon wants to put up a whole separate tower out in the middle of nowhere that's going to be a big eyesore for the residents. So I adjourn for the rest of the people of my friendly neighbors.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Atanas Serbezov, and I own this property here, the empty one, the agricultural land. And
Can you state your address for the record?
395 Autumn Springs Drive, and that's in Avon. And I just wanted to point out that right now the land is zoned agricultural, but really it is a land with development potential. And if you look at these parcels here, there are a lot of parcels that people are thinking of building houses, not subdivisions, but rural houses, 3 to 5 acres probably. There is a big subdivision down here that was developed about 10 years ago. And so I would encourage you to think 20, 30 years ahead of time what this area would be, hustling and bustling with families. And if you put a cell tower here, this pretty much discourages a lot of people to move in, because not only it is an eyesore, but it is a health concern. And I just want to talk about the health issues. So right now the standard is 1,000 feet, but there are many studies that are questioning the current standard, because the current standard is based only on thermal effects, and people are now starting to research other effects, biological effects. So the studies are talking about DNA damage, increased rate of cancer. They are talking about neurological effects. They are talking about children being the most vulnerable because of thinner skulls, and also their brains are developing. And also the mere presence of a cell tower creates psychological stress to other people who may think that, okay, I live here and I'm exposed. And I support everything that was being said. And as far as alternative solutions, yes, there is small cell technology and also satellites. And I think that we have to take account for it. So thank you very much, and I'll yield for other people.
Hello, I'm Jim Ulrich. It's 5277 West, 550 South Trafalgar. I'm right here. If you look at the map you had before, the circle, the 1,000 feet. Can you pull that up? The houses. That's fine though.
That's the 1,000 feet map.
On this house. It's on 1,050. There's a bunch of us that are just over 1,000. It's sort of funny when this is all said and done that they're that close, but. The question I have is, you said that there's no other place you could do this. Well, the people that are doing this, the Bradley Farms, if you pull the map you just had up with the coverages, the red coverages and stuff.
The red covered?
Yeah, that shows the Verizon coverages. Bradley's in live over here, correctly? Is that correct?
Yes.
Right in the middle of that red?
Yep. Yes.
And don't they own what, 500 acres? A couple kids that live right next to them? Did you see if they had 1,000 feet there?
Actually,
Hey, excuse me, that's not the way we do this.
I'm not allowed to ask that question?
You are allowed to talk to us.
Oh.
We're not going to have conversation between the two of you on the floor.
My question is that I've looked on that before I came, I looked at on the satellite mapping and all that stuff and looked at their land. And they definitely have 1,000 feet where they could put that satellite right in their land, and it seems like it do a lot more over here than here. So, the other thing I had is, the road is 2.2 miles from Trafalgar. Didn't the town of Trafalgar have a 3 mile, anything within 3 miles, shouldn't the town council have a say-so on anything like this? Because this is only 2.2 miles outside of town. I talked to the guy that owns the golf course, and he's only a mile outside of town, and they wouldn't let him put up a sign. The town council would stopped it. I assume he's probably making $5,000 a month off this, which is $62,000 a year. So I put it, Bradley, why not do this by his house where he owns the hundreds of acres? If we make the radioactive visually pollution right on the highway going into town. People don't want to see that. We have plenty of other places, open land and fields. We don't have to affect anyone. Devalues our properties and homes while it doesn't affect him or his. Plus he gets paid. Win-win for him. Just not the people who live there. The people in town, cheapens the town's look. This seems like it's being done very quickly and very suspiciously fast. More people affected should have a say, not just the people within 500 or 1,000 feet of the property. That's all I have to say.
Who's next?
I've got one question. I'm at 5210 West State Road 135. Something smells sneaky here. And one thing, my brother looked this up and he was sent this piece of mail, okay? It shows up over there almost by the veterinary at Trafalgar. Going down Pielgi Road, he said about a mile, and to the east is what his piece of mail, when he looked this up on the map, and he don't know why it shows up on there like that. How can a MapQuest lie to you? So there's people not here tonight that might have been here, because this doesn't show up factually according to the addresses, but the addresses are accurate. But when he looked it up on email, he said, "Why ain't my concern?" He pitched his piece of paper, asked my sister. It's not my concern. She lives right beside me. But this circle tells these people in the future they cannot build there if they want to in that area. And then it's almost on their houses. That's pretty sneaky. And that's evil and wicked. Nobody done that. God. And he has to stand up and say who's playing the trick. And you don't get away with stuff like that in eternity. And that's what's going on in our Congress right now, is to straighten out this kind of stuff. And it's wrong.
Sir, can we get your name?
Terry Eugene Miller.
Thank you.
I've lived on that property practically 5 generations.
What property is that?
5210 West State Road 135. Billy Dunn.
Could we pull up the,
Yeah. Brother's standing right here too, kid brother. And they're running all over, these people back here. And that is wrong.
I
Okay,
don't understand what you're saying about they're not being allowed to build.
well, when you put it in that circle, okay, and if they sell later, they won't be able to do anything like this gentleman right here said.
I don't think that's the case. They might
Well,
not
no,
want to.
that thing there, another thing is, it is a pollution that may be causing cancer. Okay, I'm not a science teacher, but I've heard enough about it. So it needs to be deeply considered and double thought. You want to see where my house is? I'll tell you
Yeah.
that. Okay. See, okay, over here. So I'm back in here, all right? Right there, and that's mine. Part of it is sewed off, that's okay, he's here. But it's wrong. It's definitely wrong. Okay? And the rest of us are relatives through here. All right? There's a neighbor here, if this was all mom and dad's, and that cuts the value of that property down. And the rest of them will do it to them too. Like the man said, he wants to build. Well, that's the way it's been in the future ever since the generation of the Hensleys moved on that area. And my background is Hensley, even though it's a Miller. Okay? And maybe that's too much information, but that's downright wrong. And people ought to stand up for themselves. And people, you are right to come tonight.
Kelsey Miller, and I live right there where they're trying to put that tower in at 5348. And I don't wanna look at a
Can you
flashing
say your,
light.
can you say your full address for the record?
It's Trafalgar 5348, zip code 4618,
What street?
135. And I don't wanna have to go out there and look at a blinking tower light all the time at night when it used to be beautiful. And other than the lights that's on our house, I've been near them towers and they sit there and blink and blink and blink. I don't think that's very nice. And the side of towers, you go down 135 and they're everywhere. Morgantown just put in a new one down there. I don't think we need it. And they're ugly. I guess that's about all I want to say.
Hi, my name's Nate Akers, 5239 West 550 South, Trafalgar, Indiana, 46181. So if you can scroll this down some. So I just built right here just a couple years ago, paid a pretty penny for the property. I'm assuming if that was there, we probably would not have bought that property and built there, just because it's a total eyesore. Let alone the safety hazards that are involved with the 5G towers, 4G towers that are now coming out. You know, you can go to any website, first thing that pops up is cancer risks, headaches, you know, just tons of them. You know, I have a 4-year-old that's going to live there for a long time. And if he's exposed to that all the time, you know, chances are pretty good chances these days. You know, like I said, I'm no scientist either, but it doesn't take someone super smart to think that's going to happen in the future. But if anybody else wants to build around there, I don't think they probably would if they're smart, because it's just going to devalue their property over the long run. You know, if we do go to sell that property in the future, it's going to limit the potential buyers, I would assume, and not get the money that we'd actually want out of the property. And another reason we moved from Indianapolis down here to see the scenery and to get away from that stuff. People driving down 135 want to see Brown County. They want to see nature. They don't want to see tall buildings and, you know, towers and so forth. So, but anybody around that area, I think's, you know, health wise might go down the drain in the future. So it's kind of my 2 cents.
Anybody else?
No.
Podium.
Jim Orick, I guess my question is, when's this supposed to actually happen? If it goes through, when's the start date?
Okay, we will ask the petitioner that.
And then also, I guess once we find that out, then we'll have time to, because like I said, the first time up here, it seemed like the town of Trafalgar should have, had something to do with this before we even got to this point. It's within 3 miles of the city, and they're supposed to have an ordinance there. And we shouldn't even be here at this point. They should have had to go through the town of Trafalgar to get an exception before even taking this step. So I'd like to know what the results of that conversation are also. Make sure that conversation's had. Is that something I need to do or something
Michelle?
that you guys will do?
Do you know why Trafalgar does not have any say in this?
Trafalgar does not have an extraterritorial jurisdiction that's outside their town limits. They do, far as I've been here since 2018, there has not never been any correlation with the town of Trafalgar outside their jurisdiction.
I don't believe, are there still buffer zones in the county?
There's only one extraterritorial, which is the legal term, buffer zone, and that is within Edinburgh.
Okay, thank you. That's your answer. Why Trafalgar does not have a say for this.
All right, I'll just check with him then. Thank you.
25 seconds. 25 seconds left.
Okay.
For the record, I apologize. I did have an email this morning that was sent to me. I just forgot to print it off, so I'll just let you know I have an email from a Debbie Renfor, Renfor. Her address is 5449 West 55 South Trafalgar. She has concerns with this project. She feels that it greatly diminishes the value of the property in the area. We put a lot of work and time and money in making this beautiful area, and I would like to keep it as such. I feel a cell tower directly across from my front yard is a terrible distraction. Furthermore, my concerns regarding the potential health implications from these type of structures. I would respect a request that you deny this project. Thank you for consideration. That was an email sent to me that I have failed to reprint and provide the copy, so I read it into the record.
Would anybody on the board like a copy of that email? Okay, how much time we got?
Still 25 seconds. I didn't count that.
Okay, there's 25 seconds left for remonstrators.
One last thing I forgot.
Your name and address, please.
Nate Akers, 5239 West, 550 South, Trafalgar, Indiana, 46181. Last thing, so if we're creating these ordinances, then what's the point of even keeping them withheld if we're just gonna break them?
Well, that's the point of the special exception. It's viewed as something that is to be more favorable because it's necessary. But it still requires, it allows you to have your comment on it and it to be weighed in a public forum. Okay. Mr. Shaley, you're up. And I'd like to start by answering this man's question. What is the start date, the completion time for this kind of project?
Generally speaking, when towers are, when the construction started, generally takes 4 to 6 weeks to construct them. They are put on a build schedule once they're approved. And they usually fall within a quarter. Doubtful that this would be a fourth quarter build, just because if we're approved, we still have to obtain driveway permit and building permit. And then get a general contractor scheduled to come out and do it. Probably going to be first quarter 2026.
Do you have any other comments you'd like to make in response to any of the concerns?
Sure do. I'm gonna do my best to hit the high points of everybody's concern here. First of all, I'm gonna lay one thing to rest. A lot of people mentioned health concerns. The Telecom Act, which is part of the Code of Federal Regulations, expressly, specifically states that no board or governing body can use or consider health effects to either
Could I pause you for a second?
Huh?
I'm gonna pause you for a second.
Okay.
Because I pulled up the Federal Code of Regulations. Okay, so I'm gonna read it for the board, just
Okay.
so you all know it. No state or local government or instrumentality thereof may regulate the placement, construction, modification of personal wireless service facilities, cell tower, on the basis of the environmental effects of radio frequency emissions to the extent that such facilities comply with the commission's regulations concerning such emissions, meaning so long as it complies with FCC regulations, you are not to consider those effects on the construction or the placement of it. And I'll let you add anything else.
Couldn't have done it better. And the reason that is done is, like I said, when I was up here the first time, every single tower you have to apply to the FCC to grant the ability to build a tower at that location, wherever it may be. The FCC's job, among others, is to tightly regulate the broadcasting strength and frequency of anything that's mounted on any tower in the United States. So Verizon is granted a license to build a tower, should this be approved. The FCC says, fine, you can do it. These are the frequencies that you must stay within, and you cannot broadcast at any greater than, and then fill in the blank, depending on where it falls. At any time, the FCC can go out and do an audit of that tower. If they find that Verizon or anybody else that's using that tower is out of compliance with what is laid out in their license, they lose their ability to do that. So, short answer to that is no cell company or any broadcasting company is ever going to stray outside of what the FCC says they can do. They have too much to lose. So, I guess that's the rest of the FCC story there. Lights. Yes, this tower will have a light. All towers over 200 feet must have a light. Doesn't matter whether it's here or in the middle of Mojave Desert. Doesn't matter. Anything over 200 feet, absolutely positively has to have a light. FAA says that. So, but the lights that are put on these towers flash white during the day. They have a photocell on them. They flip to red at night so that it's not a flashing white light through the darkness. And they have louvers on them that direct the light out and up, and to the best of the ability, not to direct them down to the ground. Not that you can't see the light from the ground, but it's not flashing directly down at the ground. And that's for air safety, air travel safety. Real estate values. There are many, many, many locations in larger cities. I could probably take you to 10 or 12 towers on the north side of Indy alone, where a tower was put in back when it was, just an agricultural field. And then the population explodes in that area and people go in and build $1 million houses right around the tower. And they do it willfully. It's not a concern, because people nowadays use their cell phone for almost every aspect of their life. And so they want that as part of the place where they live.
Okay, sir, your time is expired, so I'll
Okay.
wrap it up.
All right. We did look at Bradley Farms and, you know, I took it to the engineers at Verizon and they said that was too far removed from their coverage objective, so couldn't do it. It was proposed.
Does the board have any more questions for staff?
Am I wrong, or did whatever letter went out about the public notice, did it have the wrong address?
I'm not sure what he's referring to.
I can answer that.
Don't.
I didn't know
I-
I never got either.
So the addresses that are supplied by staff to the applicant to mail it out. And we do have proof of publication that they was mailed out on October 7th to the addresses that were provided by staff. When the post office takes mail, I cannot vouch for what actually happens to it. And I say that because time and time again, as long as I've been here, that I have board members that don't get my packet that I mail out over a week ago. So post office, again, we have proof of the notice being mailed to an addresses and stuff like that. We cannot vouch for why the post office has
No.
not yet delivered.
The procedure is, though, you identify the
Yes.
concerned parties within a certain
Yes, correct.
distance.
Yes, correct. Staff determines those radiuses and those addresses. based
And your
on-
source of the addresses, it's probably Beacon or something like that.
Yes, correct.
Can I clear up what I was?
No, you can't. Sit down.
So
The public comment is over. That is the way the rules are set up. They're not set up by this board, they're set up by the state. We're done.
I'll add, Mr. Chairman, and to staff, the fact that people are here essentially waives their claim of a notice of defect in the notice, right? I think case law is pretty strong on that point.
Yeah, I
from
mean,
what I
property is
see.
also noticed along State Road 135 and 550 as a yellow signage. That is linked to our website, that is linked to our notice that was mailed out.
And the other thing, don't get this confused with what they're sending out. Because I got to me directly on Facebook notice. I don't live anywhere close to there, never has. I don't know
What?
why. I don't know. It came from some guy off Facebook and it came to me directly.
Well, that I can't,
So I
I mean,
don't, we can't solve that. I mean, you may be
Nobody-
given something, but
Yeah.
it only goes to the ones that are within the definition, you know. And I don't know, I farmed across the road for years, but that doesn't mean I own it, so it's.
yeah, and if you're not the deeded property owner, you're
No.
not gonna get a notice, Charlie.
Does the board have any more questions for staff? Any thoughts? Something that stood out for you here?
I guess what stood out for me was, as I do with every place that we have an appeal or because with the appeals board, I go to every single one of these properties and look at them. And I was out there yesterday morning about 8:15, and I talked on my phone all the way out there, sat in the driveway across the street, and I took pictures and wondered why there were already 3 towers up within 2 miles of that tower, and talked all the way back. And I have Verizon. I didn't have any problem speaking on it.
you're looking for a place to start, look at the special exceptions, right? Look at those factors that were outlined in the packet. Go through all of them, start your discussion. I think
Number one, the use shall be specifically identified as a special exception in this ordinance for the zoning district in question. We meet that. Number two, state requirement, the special exception can be served with adequate utilities, roads, drainage, and other necessary facilities. Number three, the special exception shall not involve any element or cause any conditions that may be dangerous, injurious, or noxious to the other property or persons, and shall comply with all design development standards for use identified in this ordinance. According to the staff, this is would exceed the required setbacks to property lines, and the proposed site adjoins property used for agricultural purposes. The FCC regulates the cellular communications facilities, which we have been told is including of the safety. The state requirement number is this number 4. The special exception shall be sited, oriented, and landscaped to produce a harmonious relationship to buildings and grounds adjacent to the property. I'd say that is a matter of personal judgment. Number 5, the special exception shall produce a total visual impression and environment which is consistent with the environment of the neighborhood. That has been a concern. And number 6, the special exception shall organize vehicular access and parking to minimize congestion in the neighborhood. I would say it meets that. Number 7, the special exception shall preserve the purpose of this ordinance and shall not interfere substantially with the comprehensive plan. And that is the choice of the point of a special exception is that it is part of the ordinance, but it must be approved, correct? Michelle?
I'm sorry, I was thinking, I was looking for something else. I didn't listen at the last sentence.
Special exception shall preserve the purpose of this ordinance and shall not interfere substantially with the comprehensive plan.
Correct.
And that when we talk about a special exception, it is something that is approved with oversight.
Yeah, oversight. Correct.
Does any of the board have anything you see in these state requirements?
The only thing I can see is like on 3, and as you mentioned before, Chris, on that number 4 one. Those are dependent on your personal perspective.
Correct.
And, you know, I may not like it, but that doesn't mean it's wrong. I mean, yeah, I have empathy for that, but, you know, what else? You know, what else might want to be put there, and it's going to be the same, you know, you don't like that either. You know, I that's the hard part. You know, and just because of, you know, we're not deciding on this project because of who owns what there. My guess is Verizon sought this place rather than being sought.
Well, to be quite honest, I'm surprised they could find something in that area that had the 1,000-foot setback from everybody. You talk about, I can't remember how you said this, the price we pay. I mean, I have a 70,000 volt transmission line right behind my house. It's the price I pay for having electricity.
Yeah.
Anybody else? If we have no more comments, I would entertain a motion for or against. We're going to start with just the special exception, SP-1-25. We're not going to worry about the variance of development standards, so actually we know if we have a tower or not.
So we're starting with special exception to provide a 290-foot tower, is that what we're talking about?
Correct. If you look under on the agenda, the new petitions, both of the numbers of the petitions are listed together. However, it's broken down into special exception, which just allows for the tower, and variance of development standards, which would allow for that tower to exist, but with these variances.
I don't, and I go ahead and say something, Chris, may not be correct. The special exception, I can relate to, the talking about the way it's gonna look. I can see with the future that the tower being done a different way through technology and a different way to do that, the towers eventually be vacated, and then the landscape and everything else, and it'll just be an eyesore myself. If you look at the future. Because we're moving quickly, we got AI, they'll figure out a way to make it work. Another thing I think of is I have a farm in that area. So I know the area. And I know that we got rid of Verizon Wireless because we don't have good reception in that area. But I also went to another one, works fine. So I don't quite understand why Verizon Wireless can't just go ahead and get on their tower. So I guess it doesn't, I'm not going the way it should be, but if we got to pick out one, I would think the environmental or the way it looks, that type of thing in the future is going to be a downfall. Number 4.
Council, these findings of facts, are they similar to the findings of facts we have on our common stuff where it needs to meet all of them? Reasonably?
Reasonably meet all.
Reasonably, all right.
But I'll say it this way. The case law, particularly on this specific cell tower and regulations of their placement and construction, has been built, and federal regulations have been built such that you need, but I'll use the court's language here. Your decision, if you choose to deny it, must rest on substantial evidence. Meaning there's got to be, if negligence is 51%, you're at fault. This is substantial evidence. This is the burden is pretty high for a denial. I'll say it that.
Just for clarification, as part of the description that he had answered, it does point out that there is a standard within our ordinance about abandonment and removal. That if a CCF is, not used within 3 months, it goes on, and at the county, at the sole discretion, may require abandoned CCF to be removed. And then it also gives us the authority to remove abandoned CCFs. So if the concern is legitimately saying that, hey, when they abandon, now it's just going to be a dilapidated structure that no one takes care of, there are provisions in the ordinance that allows the county to handle such thing.
The passage you just read again, could you read that again?
So any decision, I'll read the whole thing, just there. Any decision by a state or local government or instrumentality thereof to deny.
Substantial, wasn't that the word?
Yeah, I'm going to get to
it.
Okay. To deny a request to place, construct, or modify personal wireless service facilities shall be in writing, number 1, and supported by substantial evidence contained in a written record.
Okay. Anybody have any direction they want to go here?
Chairman, I'd be willing to make a motion.
Okay,
Like a little bit first. I think it meets all the criteria. I don't think it meets them perfectly. I don't think it meets them necessarily to what an individual could argue. But therefore, I believe that it meets enough to move to approve special exception.
1-25
Yeah, SP-1-25
and adopt his findings of fact.
and adopt the staff,
These petitioners.
Petitioners.
petitioner finding of fact.
You guys do have a copy of the petitioners that was included in staff report,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
The copy that I have does not have that, but I have it on the online version of the staff report, so.
do you have anything else you'd like to say in support of your motion?
Nope, that's it.
Do I have a second? I will second the motion. I know this is touchy for all you people. I know you have concerns. And I unfortunately, I think when he says substantial, I don't think I don't want to see it is enough. I don't want to see a lot of things around my place, but I don't own the ground to control it. Okay, it's been moved to approve SP-1-25 using the petitioner's findings of facts. I'm going to vote yes. Mr. Hoffman,
No.
Mr. Kaler,
No.
Mr. Canary,
Yes.
Mr. Meyer.
Yes.
Passes 3-2. Now we have to vote on the development standards.
So Michelle, I noticed that there were no proposed findings
Yeah,
of
I-
fact.
I can
You have to approve those now.
have prepared those for the next meeting to be adopted.
Okay.
I don't have either for staff.
And I can see that the petitioner had findings of fact. So the question is procedurally, where does that leave us? If the board has no
I thought
findings
there
of
were.
fact from. I don't think for the variance.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Okay.
We
Findings
can,
of
we
fact
can
for-
discuss the findings of facts for development standards.
Well, I thought, I mean,
Yeah.
I think the clearer thing to do, and I hate to do it, is probably continue that portion of the petition to next month's meeting.
Okay.
And add it on the agenda.
Okay.
For that, while petitioner submits his findings of fact for development standards, and you also submit yours.
Okay.
Is that okay?
That's okay with me.
Now, I guess is that okay with the board? I think that's the cleanest way to do it. The problem I have, or the rub I have, is, we're gonna have to come back here next month anyways to adopt whatever written findings of fact Michelle will come up with in the meantime based on your discussion.
Yeah.
And I think it serves as a good starting point for you guys to discuss what the development standards are and what they're going to be, what the request is. It's up to you. I think that's a cleaner and better way to do it.
Yes. Come up here.
Just for clarification purposes, just so I can understand procedurally how this happens. 3-2 vote. Understand that? Thank you. Is it in this particular jurisdiction? Is it not ratified until the next month when you guys accept the minutes? Or do I walk out of the room with the approval, or?
So you're walking out of the room with the approval for the special exception,
Okay.
right? Are you talking about the time for an appeal to be triggered?
Absolutely, absolutely, yes.
We've adopted the written findings. We've taken the position previously, Michelle, correct me if I'm wrong, that because we have the written findings there, what you presented to us and we adopted them here today, we start the clock on the appeal timeframe. Is there, I'm not misremembering that.
No, that's correct.
Okay.
I mean, the special exception itself is in essence approved with the findings of fact.
With the findings of facts as were presented tonight, you haven't gotten the variance yet because we haven't discussed that because we have no findings of fact, proposed findings of fact for that. So here's really what I'm saying. You have right now, before the board does anything else tonight, an approval to build a 60-foot cell tower. Because you don't have the approval for the variance of development standards.
I understand.
So
Because you believe the paperwork to be incomplete.
I think so.
Okay.
Yes. And part of the reason why it's important is because we do have remonstrators here, right? And if a remonstrator wanted to come and didn't care that there's a cell tower there, but cared that there was a 100 or a 290-foot cell tower there, remonstrator doesn't have the ability to come in here and say, okay, I want to see petitioner's findings of fact proposed or staff's proposed findings of fact for the variance of development standards for a 290-foot cell tower.
Basically, this is clear as mud, and you really do have to come back in a month, to have full approval.
Okay, obviously, time constraints are first and foremost on my mind. And certainly not to bring to light anything procedurally that Michelle did. I think she did a fine job of the review. I didn't fill out the finding of fact for the variance because the variances were actually her idea. So that, and I think she described it very well in her review at the start of this, to make it more streamlined for any future user in, that would want to use that tower. And because this is a build-to-suit project being done by a company that their business model is providing infrastructure for anybody that wants to use it. It's no different than if someone were to build a small strip mall and then lease out the individual storefronts. In this case, it's just vertical space on the tower, but it's the same basic business model. And so her proposal for the variance was to make that easier for any future user so that you don't have to tie up board time and everything else for a petition for extra square footage at the base of the tower.
Let me stop you. It's not the square footage at the base of the tower. It's the height of the tower itself, right?
Well, there was another one where it was square
Forget,
footage.
hold on. Forget the other one,
Okay,
right? You can, if you do want right now to withdraw all your variance requests and build a 60-foot tower.
no,
Okay, then,
I understand what you're saying.
all right.
Can I ask a stupid question to you? Sure. In this letter from Verizon, did they not, when you read through this, did they not
I
address?
think they did. Did Verizon address the findings of fact for variance of development standards?
Or they didn't do it in a 1 through 7, I guess.
They did it on the special exception. And by all means, go ahead, Verizon, and build a 60-foot cell tower.
Well, that's what I would like to clarify. I mean, yes, I did recommend some variances, but I did not say you need a variance for 290 because I think you do. You do need it to build a 290.
Right.
And
Okay.
you do need it because you don't have landscaping. The plans that you provided to me didn't show anything about camouflaging or landscaping or that it was 60 feet in height. Now, the square footage, yes, that's a more of a discretion, like, hey, let's make the job easier. The other ones were, you provided me plans that didn't satisfy the requirements. So you either had the option to file for a variance or not, but obviously I support it in a way, the camouflaging and landscaping. So it wasn't necessarily, I gave you the option to say, do you want to file it for it or not? I'm like, I'm gonna include this. And you
Okay.
can decide and tell me,
Okay, I'm sorry if I was misunderstood there. I I appreciate what you put forward as far as the proposed variance. You know, that, when I came back in and talked to you there, and you said, you know, I think we should do it this way, then I was in full agreement to that. So I wasn't trying to in any way say that it wasn't done the way it should have been done, so.
So their letter does, it goes through all of our standards, but it doesn't necessarily provide answers to findings of facts, which is the hardship and why they can't do it.
Remind me, just because I'm on notices, what notice goes out to the public? Do you guys include,
The variances.
do you include the findings of fact for them, or
No,
it just says variance,
Yeah.
hearing on variance,
Yeah.
request, yada yada?
yeah, and they can come and review the stuff.
So when you send those out.
Well, that's the, hold on, sorry. So that's the problem. They can't come and review the stuff, right? Because the stuff
Yeah.
didn't exist.
Yeah.
Petitioner didn't submit findings of fact for a variance.
Nobody, and but only one person, individual, did request a copy of the applicant. I'll just state it.
I understand. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
When you send those out, is that still the same 600 feet or?
Yeah, 660 feet or two
So-
properties deep, whichever is
So
bigger.
that's why this fella said, well, I didn't get one.
I don't know who that fella is in relation to
Well,
the thing.
because his property is 1,000 feet from there, so he didn't get one, although he's within that circle.
So
Anyway,
So you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So notice wouldn't have to be sent again, right? That's for certain. The neighbors had their opportunity to remonstrate against the notice that you sent, which included the variance. So I don't think notice has to be sent again. Again, the question is whether or not you guys feel comfortable discussing these variance requests and not having findings of fact in front of you. From
mean,
anyone.
yeah,
Because I'm being requested to come next month then and defend my variance for the height. Am I allowed to submit additional material that I can get to back that up?
I don't see any issue with that.
Okay, and
I mean,
does anyone else have the opportunity to get on the record again then?
Yes.
well, since the public has left and not listened to this discussion, that's
Well,
on them.
it's all recorded. They can go back and look at it again. But yeah, I mean, I think it would be handled the same way we handled it tonight. You get 15 minutes, you present. Well, here's why we need 290. And here's why it meets the findings of fact to get us to 290.
Okay,
That would be my suggestion.
and so my finding of facts actually going to include reasons why.
So,
Why it would be a hardship for me not to have
correct,
290 feet.
correct.
I know in the simpler cases, there's a form that asks the question
Yeah.
for the finding for that. Is there something like that available for these?
I don't have it. He didn't submit one and I didn't prepare one in the staff report. I mean, there is also the option to go over verbally
Yeah, if you want to.
if you want to.
I actually thought that there was something in the application that was an either or situation. It was like, if you provide findings of fact for one, then you don't for the other.
That's
Uh,
not,
No.
no.
Okay, I misunderstood. that.
Yeah, that's all right. I understand. I understand your position because I mean, I don't know how many municipalities are in this county and the county itself. So we all have 6 different laws that we have to go through to jump through this zoning stuff. And I understand your position. I understand that things get.
Yeah.
It's not black and white. We can cross the border. We can cross over into Franklin right now, and they have different rules than we do.
Not near as bad here as it is in Michigan.
So I get it, and I sympathize with you, but we do have to keep the public in mind, and procedure to the best of our ability in mind when we're doing
Okay.
this. Go ahead, Mr.
So should I be approved for the variances next month? Am I allowed to apply for the building permit the
You
day
can-
after?
You can technically apply for a permit within any time between now and the meeting. I just can't approve the permit until the variances are approved.
So I can go ahead and
Or
get,
not approved.
I can go ahead and
Not
get my application for my building permit in and reviewed.
Mhm.
It just won't be,
Correct. We,
it won't be able to be issued until they see that I have a valid.
until the variances and the findings of facts for it are approved, yeah.
Okay,
I do that with occasional with development standards when people apply for a building permit. And I can't approve it because it's a certain size structure, then that permit is sitting on a hold. And then they go through the variances, and once that variance is approved, the next day or whatever they can, they'll come in and pick up their permit.
Okay.
And the highway department has nothing to do, like your driveway permit has nothing to do with our zoning regulations.
that makes it a lot better.
And it's only-
That allows me to shrink my time.
And it's 3 weeks from now, it's on the 18th, not the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. So it is a little bit reduced time.
18th, okay.
But get your findings of fact.
I'll get them in within a day or two then.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, we have new business.
Oh, we didn't take a motion.
Oh,
I move to continue.
I'm gonna move to continue the development standards V-12-25 until next month when findings of fact can be prepared and presented to the board. All in favor, say aye. Hey, hang on, need a second. Now, all in favor, say aye. Now, the new business, which is the approval of the calendar meetings for 2026. Would anybody on the board like to review the copy that I have here?
You all have.
Oh, you all have a copy?
Yeah. I have 3 highlighted dates. So May 26th is the day after Memorial Day. I typically do move that to the week prior to go along because Planning Commission will have to be rescheduled. And I usually go the week before. So that would be a different date if you guys decide that it's important, better for the scheduling to have it.
What date, please?
Let me see that. May 19th would be the Tuesday before. The same with, so November 17th is the Tuesday prior to Thanksgiving, the week before Thanksgiving week, just because everybody has usually an issue with traveling. And then December 29th is highlighted. Honestly, I just didn't know the 22nd is the 4th Tuesday. I don't know. I mean, it depends on people. If the week before Christmas is more busy or the week after Christmas with New Year's is more busy.
I don't have a problem with the May or the November. I wouldn't make, no matter which year you move December. I'm always out for a week and a half because my family's all out of town.
Anyone else?
I'm okay with any of the dates.
You can change the time too if you want.
I don't want to change the time. I like the time.
I know
Yeah.
you do.
I think it's more responsible for the community to have it at 7.
I like it at 6, but 7's.
Yeah, you want to get home, go play pickleball.
That's right.
Does it have to be on a Tuesday? Is it always on a Tuesday?
It doesn't, I mean, that's the rules we make.
Yeah.
We usually do it right after Planning Commission. I mean, it's just the nature of what you guys have. I have no clue how long this has been going
If
on.
it's 22nd, that make any difference to me. I'm here, you know.
Does anybody travel after Memorial Day? Do we have plans?
Doing the day after tomorrow.
No.
Huh?
I don't know what I'm doing the day after tomorrow.
But you haven't missed a meeting in a long time.
Okay.
So, so you're always here.
I move to approve the calendar meetings for 2026 as presented. Do I have a second?
Oh, can't we move?
Okay, we don't have a second.
Well,
What would you like to say, Mr. Hoffman?
I would like to certainly move the November date to the week before.
It's already on
It
17th.
is.
It's already on the.
Oh, it's already on there. Okay.
I'll second it.
Got a second?
Okay, we got a second. All in favor of approving the calendar meetings for 2026, say aye.
Aye.
So you got
Calendar's
May,
approved.
so we left May 26th.
What?
Just as it's printed here.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I just want to make sure.
I thought she said she was moving to 19.
Okay, I need a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
A second, all in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned.
So